Hey everybody, it's George Trombley with Japanese from Zero, and we are going to be working on Japanese from Zero Book 1. This is an update. It's actually 2023 in November right now. Even though the video series you were just watching was from like 2016, this book has been updated so that what used to be Lesson 1 is now Lesson 6. So we're going to be talking about Lesson 6. Remember, all the lessons that we talk about here are on FromZero.com and in the books. Now let's get to it. So the first thing I want to make sure you understand is Japanese is extremely contextual. In lesson 1, we learned how to make these very simple sentences just using des. But what we didn't learn was things like he, her. We don't even know I. We don't even know you. But yet, we are saying those things just with context. For example, if I say Tanaka-san desu, and I'm pointing at a man, that translates now to he is Tanaka. If I'm talking to my friend, for example, I say, hey friend, look, Tanaka-san desu. He's Tanaka. It's Tanaka would also be a good translation. But contextually, he is Tanaka is what we're saying. But what if I point to a girl? Tanaka-san desu. Tanaka-san desu. Look, Tanaka-san desu. Now it means she is Tanaka. We don't know how to say she. We don't know how to say he. But des covers all of those. Japanese verbs such as des are all what is called pronoun neutral. At least that's what I call it. It means that they cover all the pronouns based on the context. And when we start learning verbs, you won't say he goes, I go, she goes, we go. You'll just say go. And we'll know based on the context what you mean. Sounds maybe complicated and confusing, but I promise you, it's not. It's going to be second nature to you. What if I'm pointing at two people and I say, Tanaka-san desu? Because Japanese doesn't really do plurals, they can. We'll find a way to do some plurals later on, but they really don't normally do it. This could also mean they are Tanaka. Now, let me ask you a slight quiz. How would you say, I am Tanaka? I heard someone say, Tanaka-san desu. I'm sorry. That's wrong. That's only wrong because you don't say san after your own name. You would say, Tanaka desu. If someone asks you, who are you? Or you're introducing yourself, you can just say, Tanaka desu. I am Tanaka. Because remember, you never say san after your own name. But you always want to make sure that you do add san to other people's names. It can be a problem and be very rude not to add san to someone's name. You'll hear it or you've already heard me talk about it in videos. All right, one final thing I want to make sure we talk about in an update to this lesson is gairaigo. Gairaigo literally means outside come word. Outside come language. It is borrowed words, okay? Words of foreign origin. Now, when we learn words of foreign origin, they're going to be written in katakana. By this point in the new book, you already know maybe half of the hiragana. In the older book, you would know no hiragana, but we already know half at this point. So we can't read katakana yet until book 2. This bad boy right here. Until book 2, we don't learn katakana, so we'll have the romaji there for you. But all foreign origin words from English, at a minimum, are going to be written in katakana. Sometimes Chinese words can come over and they can get translated into kanji and whatnot, but we're only talking about foreign origin words that can't be made from the Chinese characters. So this is one of them, for example. I don't expect you to read this until book 2. It's hoteru. Hoteru. It means hotel. And this word cannot be avoided. I know it's frustrating when you're learning Japanese. You think, oh, I don't want to learn how to speak English in Japanese, but you have to because it's a huge part of Japanese society. You can't avoid it. Matter of fact, it's so hard to avoid that sometimes me and my wife, we joke around and we'll try to go all day without speaking katakana, and we'll have to come up, like it's like a brain teaser, like, how would you say this in Japanese without English borrowed words? It's almost impossible. Like hoteru, you could say ryokan, but ryokan means Japanese inn. It's a completely different word. It doesn't mean hotel. You could maybe say nedoko, a place to sleep, but place to sleep could be your friend's couch. It could be anywhere. So it doesn't really work. Hoteru is a certain concept and it comes from English. All right. Now take this one. I know you can't read it. Maybe you do. If you can't read it, you're a little bit advanced. Fortnite. Fortnite. It's Fortnite. How could you make that in Japanese? You couldn't, right? Why would you? Just take it from English. It's almost like this. You know, we have Japanese words in English that we really don't have English words for. For example, sushi, sashimi, tsunami. Now we could argue sushi is raw fish, but it's actually raw fish on rice. And sashimi is raw fish. Yeah, it's raw fish, but how is it different from sushi? Well, one is sushi and one is sashimi. And then what about a tsunami? That's a tidal wave, but we all call it tsunami. By the way, it's tsu, T-S-U, not tsunami, tsunami. But there are other words in English from Japanese that maybe you haven't even thought about. I made a whole video on it at one point. Look for it, or I'll try to link it. Anyway, let's look at the next word. What do you think it is? It's the biggest social media app right now in the world. Every Japanese person knows this word. You should know this word, even if you despise it. TikTok. TikTok. I'm on it way too much. By the way, I do have a Japanese from Zero TikTok channel. You should check it out. I tell a lot of little interesting small stories. All right, guys, that's it. Remember, check out FromZero.com because study mode is kick butt. It's kick oshiri. Check out study mode. All right, guys, see you on the next. Hey, everyone. Sorry, while I was editing this video, I realized I forgot to say this. In those examples where we say Tanaka-san desu, I say that contextually, they could be he is or she is or they are. And even Tanaka desu can be I am. But I want you to know, I want you to keep this concept in your head. Japanese is always the way that it is. It's English that requires those words. Therefore, when we say it's Tanaka-san, we could get away by saying it's Tanaka-san all day long, but it's more natural English to say he is Tanaka or she is Tanaka. And because it makes the English sound more natural, we have to do it that way. As you learn Japanese, you'll realize part of the job you'll do learning Japanese is learning how to make your Japanese sentences natural despite what the English is doing, and how to make your English sentences natural despite what the Japanese might be doing. Sometimes Japanese does things that English doesn't do, and sometimes English has requirements that Japanese doesn't have. So keep that in mind as you're learning, that that's the one thing you're learning, not just this word equals that word, but you're learning how Japanese, natural Japanese does certain things that English doesn't. And one of the things we must do in English is always have a pronoun, and Japanese doesn't like to use the pronouns. So keep that in mind. Now I'll see you in the next video. Bye.